Okay. I think. Great. All right. So we are live. I am Genevieve Anderson. I'm the writer-director of Dust One. And this is our series, Talk About Immigration, that we've been doing for a couple of months now to talk with different people from the immigration advocacy community, talking about various aspects of what's happening in real time right now on the border. So today, I'm really, really excited to have Elisa O'Callaghan with us. She is the founder of Calm Dolls, which is an initiative to bring comfort to children in detention centers right now on the borders. And so I'm really, really excited that you are here with us, Elisa. What you're doing is so special and so interesting and so needed in a time when a lot of people don't actually know what to do outside of sending money for supplies. You've actually done something totally unique in an effort to ease the people, I think, most at risk and who are suffering the most, which are the children, many of whom don't really understand what's going on. So I want to start talking about you before we get into the dolls and what brought you here. A little bit about you. You are a child of immigrants, your father from Ecuador and your mother from Mexico, and you grew up in Los Angeles. So I'm curious how all of this began. What was it like growing up a child of immigrants in Los Angeles?
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you, Genevieve, for having me here. Well, I'm an only child. My parents, I don't believe, went to high school. If my dad finished 8th grade, that was a lot. My mother probably did even less. But back in the day, you know, she was born 1931. She just had a birthday. She turned 89. Women weren't really going to college, you know, even less high school. They either got married or, especially in the Latin community in Mexico. I mean, I grew up in an area where most people were Hispanic. I went almost all my till 8th grade to a private Catholic school, and we had mostly Hispanic, Filipino, and white, and maybe 1 or 2 Black kids during the time that I was there till 8th grade. So feeling different or feeling like, oh, I'm Hispanic and you're not, I never had that. I never had that growing up. It wasn't, you know, about immigration. I never even thought of that. My parents didn't even think of that. I don't know. I think I had the same life I felt that everybody else growing up had in that area where I lived, because it was such a small community and it was a Catholic small little church and everything. So I never had until I went to college. Until I went to college, I was confronted my first year with racism and discrimination, and I wasn't prepared for that. I'm a hate crime survivor. I actually was told, and it was a brutal beating, that I was going to die, and I didn't. Only I think now that I'm an adult, that I had a purpose, and they didn't understand that my determination to survive was greater than theirs to kill me. So
That's not in your bio. No, that's a seminal event to have grown up not encountering racism and then to encounter it in a way that threatened your life is
yes.
a pretty profound event.
Pretty. I was kind of mute, and I was young, and it was a pretty horrible experience. I mean, I survived it. That's how bad it was. I'm here. So I closed down and I didn't think about it. And it's not like, I don't know why I brought it up, but it's not like, but it is something that in my life that I've experienced. And it is something I think that made me who I am now. and a fighter for anything about racism, discrimination,
Sure.
bullying, especially. It's who I am, I think.
Well, I mean, thank you for entrusting us with that part of your story, because it is seminal. It's absolutely seminal, because what you do write about in your bio is witnessing violence on television when the women and children were being tear gassed, and that really having a huge effect on you. This kind of hatred that we've been seeing now for the past 4 years, in excess, is not just conceptual hatred. It's pointed at physical violence. It's pointed at wanting to deter people physically, negating their humanity. And so it's very core. It's it's heartbreaking at its core, and it absolutely seems to explain a lot about what you've done and what you've created. So even though you were a political science major,
Yes,
right, in college, and law and society, you were not active as an activist until the election of Donald Trump in 2016. And so can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, I was always a voter, and I was always fighting for rights, women's rights. Later on during college, and after, I think I did one protest in California. There was Proposition 187 about affirmative action, and I was in the street. But that's it. That was about it. And I really felt in my heart that the rhetoric that he was bringing out, with saying all Mexicans are criminals, are rapists, are this and that, was going to bring more of that hate, that microaggressions into violence, and people would die.
Yeah.
I was hoping that wouldn't happen, but that did happen. People died in the border in El Paso because of hatred.
Right.
Because of that. And 2 young parents died embracing their newborn baby in the shooting. Horrible things happened. And I thought, I just fell into depression after the election. I knew there was going to be a lot of hate coming out for all groups, for Jewish groups, for Black, for Hispanics. I just knew it. For gay. And it broke me. It just broke me. And it was a long time of being in bed and being in depression until I realized, hey, I have 2 kids. I can't afford just being about me. Yeah. I got to get up. I got to do something. With me, it's been either horrible things happen and I crawl into a corner, or I come out fighting. So I came out fighting. I said, I'm going to start doing something with action. I'm not going to rely on the depression to keep me going. I'm going to rely on the action to keep me going. And any action would be a positive move towards something better, something for others. So that's why I started joining groups. I started meeting people that I would never have known, and figuring out what we can do. There was the first moment that there was a ban on Muslims, and my first reaction is, OMG, that can't be. And they were stuck here in the airport, in the DFW airport. They weren't allowed to come in, and there was a child in there, again, a child in there, who wasn't allowed to come in and see their parents. It was in limbo. My husband and my 2 kids were little at that time, maybe 9 and 10 at that time. We all got our whiteboards, and we headed to the airport, and we started protesting. We thought we were going to be the only ones. Wow. That airport was jammed in that area, jammed with people. And I'm like, yes, that's what we need. We need to protest. We need to talk. We need to call out what is wrong.
Yeah.
And right that wrong.
Right. Absolutely. one of my other guests, Scott Gilliam, who's in Cincinnati, also was part of that protest in Cincinnati, and it's heartening to know that people came out, immediately to take a stand against that. Well, how did that turn into you bringing supplies to the border, and how then did that turn into this idea for the Calm Doll?
Well, when I saw that on the news, that picture that I have it ingrained in my mind of a woman pulling three little girls, some without shoes, most with diapers, and being gassed. I don't know what hit me. I really don't know. It wasn't me. It was something moving me inside saying no. At least in my mind, at the first moment, I thought I was going to drive all the way to California where it happened and take them. But then I started thinking, I can't make that move. I can't drive that. So, I mean, it was so organic and it was so authentic. It wasn't something like, oh, let me plan this out. It was like immediate. Put it on Facebook. This is what I need, people. I'm going to the border and I need diapers, I need shoes, I need clothing. Gently used is fine. I was just telling people what I needed. I didn't know who this was for. That's how organic it was. I didn't know how I was going to deliver it. I didn't care. I needed to act. I needed to start acting. And I'm thinking later, when I saw my entire house completely full of supplies, of donations, because people came through. And again, my faith in humanity came back, and people close to me now that were strangers then, connecting people. If you don't connect people with their hearts, they'll never change their mind. You gotta start with the heart to change minds.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about the event that you witnessed. It was on television, right? Just so that we know what this was. And
yes, it was the migrants try to push their way into the border into the U.S. from Tijuana, and our government tear gassed them. And in that process, they were tear gassing children, babies, and everybody started running away again from the border. I mean, it was a wrong move on their part, but somebody advised them. It could have ended worse. It could have really ended worse. But seeing that children that we were tear gassing, I mean, this is stuff that I couldn't believe it was our country doing this.
Right.
So that's why it something about that, something about those children and being so afraid for their lives. And you could see the gas, you can in the background, you can see the smoke, the white little smoke in the background, and they're running, and the mother's holding on as desperation. These are people that leave their country not because they want to, because they have to, and then they don't leave their family, they don't leave their children. They only take the most important thing in their lives, which is their children. From sorry, I'm a crier. That's my superpower. I'm a crier, but I'm okay.
I'm a crier too.
Yay! But you know what? This has made me stronger.
Yeah.
The more I do, the stronger I get, because I'm emotional and I feel a lot. I just feel that pain. As a mother, what wouldn't you do for your child? Yeah. What wouldn't you do for your child? Not even in a plane or a car or a bus, walking and getting rides and coming in caravan groups for protection from one country to another country without having any food or other than what people might give them. I mean, terror. I mean, my kids can't live one meal without one meal. I can't even imagine looking at a child's face and saying, I'm sorry, sweetie, I can't feed you. I have no food, you know? Or if I leave you, another member of the family is going to die, or most of these women have already lost a child or a very close family member. All that pain coming here to the land of the free, right, you know, and having, boom, that hit you. Yeah. You know, you're not wanted there. You're not wanted in Mexico. you can't go back to your country.
Yeah, I want to talk about an aspect of that in a minute that I think is really important. But I want to for you to walk us through what happened when you went to the border for the first time with your supplies after getting all of this stuff from your friends on Facebook. What happened?
Well, let me just back up just a little bit. I collected so much that I had to rent a 16-passenger vehicle.
Wow.
And between Nancy, Richard, my husband, their friends, and my husband, we removed every single seat, physically removed those huge seats from all the rows except for the 3 in the front. So we can fit everything, and we didn't. I still have like another half a vehicle left. So
Wow.
I thought, well, that means that just, in my mind, that just means I have to go back. It was so simple. It wasn't like a problem. Just go back. The thing was, you can't just give away free stuff. I've now realized you can't just say, hey, I have a van load of stuff. Here you go. And you can't just say, hey, Mexico, here I come. I have a van load of stuff. There's something called import-export laws. Oh, really? I didn't even know that. So I was faced with, whoops, we're already there. Thank goodness, my friend Lynn and my friend Nancy said, we'll go with you. And they drove, because I was going to drive by myself. 10 hours, right? And thank goodness, people just opened up to everything.
Right.
Would you like us to go with you? Yeah, that would be a great idea. See, it was so organic. It wasn't like planned. It wasn't like, okay, let me put this in the calendar. Not even that. So I get connections from people who are either from the valley or near there in the border. And one person gives me another number, and ACLU person called me, and I say, this is what I'm doing. And he's like, oh, okay. I think he was shocked. He's like, there's this group. This is how I opened up my life too, with groups. I just went for it, right? And he said, there's this group of teachers that are just doing it on their own. At that time, they're just a grassroots group, just like me, but they're on the border, and they saw on the news these people sleeping under the stars with children, right? They decided to go. And then I called them and I said, hey, I have so much. Can I take it to you? He's like, well, we're just 4 teachers or 5 teachers, and we can't fit that in our homes. We don't have, we're just people. We would have to divide everything into 5 and figure out how to transport it. It was like a mess. But I said, no, I have to do it. I have to figure it out. So on my way to the border, during all that time that the 2 friends were driving, I was actually making calls and panicking because I had a load and nobody wanted it, right? And I'm thinking, what am I going to do? Am I going to have to pass the border 100 times to drop it off to the people? And I had enough things, to tell you the truth, for like 200, 300 people. And at that time, because they were still coming in, the MPP, migrant, what is MPP again? Migrant Protection Protocol is what they put to stop the income and leave the migrants where they are now in Mexico. Well, at that time, that wasn't set. They were coming in. So they were only maybe less than 30, 50 at the time when they first started. Who am I going to give this to them? Here, put it in the street? So anyways, another place that opened up was a shelter, and they knew these people, and for whatever reason, only that day of the year they were open on Saturday. And they said, well, we could hold it for them, and they could figure out later how to distribute all that stuff. It was a miracle. Again, all doors kept opening. There was never a closed door for me. That's how this had to be done. It was just something moving me and saying, you do it, I will open the doors for you. You go through it. Only one time that place was open, and there was somebody with the keys to that storage room. Wow. Boom. That was the God sent it, because I didn't want to come back with everything all the way back. And that's how I met. Now that group is called Team Brownsville. I don't know if you heard them.
Oh,
They're amazing. Now they're a nonprofit. They were feeding every migrant every single day. And
wow.
then they started joining groups with a church and another group. So they were dividing the meals. Now it's the kitchen. What is the KC? The Central World Kitchen is there.
Okay.
They only do like really bad situations, and finally they realize that's a bad situation, and now they're there feeding every single day.
Wow.
I was with them to serve. I was there every time I went to the border. I went with Team Brownsville, and I helped serve them serve everyone the meals. There was times that there were 1,000 people. Now there's 3,000 people there needing meals every single day, and
And
that's children.
where is this?
That's the border of Brownsville and Matamoros. Is
Okay.
in Mexico.
Okay. So how quickly did you come up with the idea to make these dolls that also operate as pillows for the kids? How did that come about?
Well, I went on a Courts and Ports. Courts and Ports is it's a group that are organized by, I think, ACLU, to bring awareness, to raise awareness to people more inland, more different places of Texas or anywhere really, who want to know about what's happening in the courts, how they're processing them, what's happening once they were coming in, when the bus loads dropped them off somewhere, and said, yeah, you are allowed to come in, you have a sponsor, you have a transportation, boom, you're dropped off somewhere and you're on your own. And you go into the border and actually saw. It's all about awareness. I've already had that experience. I've already was doing that. So I thought, well, the only thing I haven't done is the Courts and Ports, so I'll do it, because it was part of, I'm a board member with Justice for Our Neighbors, which is immigration service.
Right.
And they were kind of asking us to do it because we're on the board. But, like I said, I was already way before that aware of, and really well aware of what was going on. So I went and I saw when they were dropped off at this, it was like a shelter. I forgot what it was called. I saw children playing, waiting to take their first showers since they left their country. This could have been 4 or 5 months, right? The first shower. Taking shower, waiting to get into this mobile unit of showers. They were going in line and waiting for hours and hours, right, to get a shower. I saw them playing with the water that came out of that shower, and I saw them making stuff with mud and playing with sticks. There were some wrappers from chips. There were rocks, and they were lining up like people. Like, this is my family. I mean, children are children, and children want to be children. They want to play, and we were taking away their childhood. So I came back and I said, no, I couldn't even sleep. I couldn't. That was around April. And then May, I started thinking, okay, what do I do? What do I do? What am I supposed to do? And then for whatever reason, I started typing again. I said, I need help. I'm going to make dolls for children. I had no idea how. I had no idea why. And I can't even sew. Don't let that stop you. Just because you can't do it yourself doesn't mean it's not going to happen. And the first meeting, I had like 20 people. The second meeting, every single person had a doll made with what I told them what I needed. I needed them to have eyes so they could reflect and they could communicate with them and they could have a conversation like a friend. I needed them to have a smile or at least be extremely happy, like this guy right here.
Yeah.
And they could be used as pillows too at night. They can rest their heads. They're extremely soft. And they're adorable. And then we started talking, well, boys won't want that, only girls. And I'm thinking, no, let's just do it. Boys want it. they're not the same as our boys or our children here who will only take electronics, right? You give a 10-year-old one of these here and go, what do you want me to do with it? Give me something that I can play with, electronics. But they were lighting up. They wanted a toy. They wanted to feel comfort. They wanted to feel something soft. They just want to be children. That's what they want.
Yeah.
And the boys and girls get them. So we have different colors. So that's why we have, this could be a boy.
Right.
It didn't matter to them too much. So that was the beginning of July.
And
And
what year? What year
first
was
year,
this? Last year? Last year or this year?
that was last year, July. That was last year, July 2019.
Okay.
The beginning of July, we started building it. And then we got together at a restaurant near here, and we just started making them by the 24th, by the end of July, because they were still very small a group. There weren't that many, maybe under 100. I'm going to say maybe 150 people. So
Yeah.
children might have been just 40 or 50. Okay. And I was one of the members um, of 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 that group. Team Bronzeville is a friend, and I said, "Listen, if I send you these dolls, can you distribute them for me? Just for now, I'm going to just send in between my going and coming." She goes, "Yeah, of course. There's not many. After we serve, we play with them, or we do something. We give them whatever it is that we bring. We'll just give those out." And take pictures. Yeah, yeah. So everybody cried. All the ladies that built them, that made them, that helped me put them together, stuff, and we started crying like babies when we saw the first kids
Oh my
holding
God.
them and really wanted them desperately, right? I can't do that anymore, and I couldn't do that because they started accumulating, and I can't just give that to someone. So I've been doing it personally, hand delivered every single one to each child, and I'm up to $1,000, not only in Matamoros but also in Arizona, in Nogales.
In Nogales, Arizona, right? You had mentioned that you worked with the Kino Initiative, right?
Yes, yes, I
Okay.
went there, and I took books because I wanted to start a library so they
Right.
could start teaching. They have a beautiful shelter building, and one of the rooms I think they're going to use for education. And
Right.
I thought, wow, wouldn't that be a beautiful library? Or somewhere where kids just sit down in the corner and start reading
Right.
with a book. So I took like 300 books with me that time that I went to Arizona. I
Wow.
took cookies because I had my ladies who helped me do the dolls. I had them bake. The poor ladies. I had like 4 ladies. Can you make me 1,000 cookies? Because I really like cookies. So when I give a doll, I also gave out sugar cookies. And oh my gosh, I have the best people, the best friends now, and the best team, and everybody just does it. No compensation, no anything, just to do something for love. It's pure love and real love, because you're not going to receive anything in exchange. Some of them will never see the children.
This is one of the things I really loved about in your bio, where you mentioned that the women who are making these dolls never really get to see the reactions of the children, that they're just making them as the purest products of the purest sense of the word love, which is so beautiful. And the significance, going back to what you said earlier about you wanting to impart to these children that the world is not, a hateful place, that the world, there are people in the United States who want them and who love them despite what they're experiencing when they're at the border. So why is this significant? Why is it so important that we impart a sense of love to the stranger?
Oh my gosh, what a question. I think it's just the opposite is just so scary. It's scary for an adult. Bullying, hatefulness, racism, getting killed in the streets. It's just so hard for adults. Can you imagine that in the eyes of a child? It's just too much.
one of the things I've been grappling with throughout this administration for sure, but since I made Dust One and lived, near the border and saw so many contradictory things that really, really troubled my sense of our morality and our humanity. I don't, it's hard to understand. And having friends too who are conservative, who are like, nope, this is the way it is, you break the law, this is what happens. And that humanity itself is jettisoned for the purpose of keeping law and order. This is so confusing to me because it goes against a lot of these people are Christians. It goes against the golden rule, which is the foundation of every principle, every doctrine in the Bible is do unto others as you would have done unto you. And so why we can violate this out of the gate and think nothing of it is incomprehensible to me. I don't actually know. I'm constantly puzzled by that. Like, why is
I can't answer that either. I've been told that in my face by people the same. They deserve it. I'm like, a child deserves to be in prison. Let's just talk about the detention centers. Not only the kids who are at the border are doing a little better in that they at least have a loved one with them. At least they have some love, right? The kids that we've separated and left into a prison sentence with no contact of no other, they can't be near other kids. No one can touch them. Without human contact, especially when you're very young, you're going to develop a sense of I can't be touched, a trauma that at the early age you cannot recover from, and you cannot turn it around. That's what we're developing now. And for them to tell me they deserve it, why would a child deserve that? No, they do not deserve it. We should not be doing this to a child. It's immoral. It's inhuman. It goes against all our beliefs of what is right and wrong. We go to other countries to say, this is wrong, people. We're here to establish right. Yet in our own country, we're doing this, ripping a child from a mother, or if they come alone. Like I said in my bio, my father came alone to this country when he was still a teen. He would have been in one of these jails.
Sure.
His life would have been completely different. I might have not been here. Who knows what trauma he would have had for the rest of his life. But this is completely wrong. And if you do believe in God and you do believe that we need to be Christians, well, then live that life and say, we cannot do this to a child. We can't.
And as you mentioned in your bio, again, the trauma that these children are going through is going to be on our hands for generations to come. What kind of people are we producing? And we're worried now about, rapists and murderers, and yet we're fomenting an environment in which, where desperation and lovelessness and all of these things are taking root in a way that it's going to be hard to retract if we don't continue, if we don't really, turn things around. Thank God we have a new administration, and God willing, policy change will start occurring rapidly around immigration, to change things at the border. So just to paint a little bit of a picture, you mentioned about going to one of these detention centers, and was it Tomeo, Texas?
I went to two. I witness is what we're calling it. We witness outside to not only for people to see awareness, right? Education, awareness, developing understanding of what's going on, because some people think that's not real, that's not happening. Yes, right. It is. We're there to witness. I was Tornillo, Texas, which is another border entrance.
Right.
It's like 40 minutes or something like that, or less from El Paso.
Right.
But it was a very deserted place that you had to really get good directions to find it. It was that hard to find. And it was a call from a person who's, again, all these new people in my life that I'm so rich to know them. This man, Justin Rubin from New York, New Jersey, he heard of that. He heard of us having children in detention center, and he was a retired engineer. He said, no, he actually lived in a trailer home or a mobile home at that border outside the detention center for months to witness, to bring people, And I found that in Facebook. And one Christmas Eve, he said, we're going to have a posada, artists, singers, musicians, anybody, just anybody, come and sing to them. I told my husband, and I said, you know what I want to do for Christmas Eve? He's like, oh no, what? I'm like, I want to be outside a detention center for children. He said, yeah, let's do it. So my whole family, my kids, we went. And that's why we spent Christmas. If, he said, I'm privileged that I have my children with me. These children are not, they don't have a father. Or a family, we can sing to them. And they heard us, It was far away where they came out to play soccer, but you can hear them. And we had binoculars, and we had big signs saying, no están solos, you're not alone. That means a lot. Somebody in that situation knowing that he's not alone or she's not alone. Then we that one closed down. That one closed down because too much publicity, too many eyes.
Okay.
It wasn't a good business for them to have that publicity, right? The owners, because it's a profit. It's a profit. It's a business.
I think they all are for profit, and they're run like prisons. So
then we went to Florida, and we did the same thing for like 4 or 5 times. There was a huge Father's Day march near the homestead in Florida, and I asked my husband. I said, "Hey, would you like to spend Father's Day in Florida?" He's like, "What?" And I told him why. He goes, "Yeah, we have to do that." So I have a very supportive house. If I didn't, I wouldn't be able to do any of it.
Seriously. And it's wonderful too that your children are on board.
Yes, and they they learn what they learn at home, and they already have that compassion in them. They already have the love for, because that's how we raise them. You love other people no matter what they are, unless they hurt you, right? Unless they're bullies or unless they're racist or something hurting negative, then you figure out how to keep your distance. But you can't teach empathy. Empathy has to be, well, you can't teach if they see it from someone. They see empathy and they go, oh, that's what it is. That's what it's called. Because if you don't see that, you're not going to learn that it's not only about yourself, it's about people who are out there hurting and have no way of getting out of that situation. Those children have no voice. And they didn't have, a say to be trapped in those jails.
Right. And what we don't know now, because it's not in the news, is that there are lots and lots of people stuck in these detention centers now, and they're not getting processed the way that they should because of COVID. The legal resources are really limited. No More Deaths is one of the organizations working really hard to raise money for legal action to get asylum seekers processed, but most people are stuck. They're stuck in limbo, and from I know there are numerous organizations on the border who are helping get supplies to people, but where are they going to go? What are they going to do? And when is it going to change? When are things going to change?
Yes.
And so I have this feeling, part of the ceremony, which I'll talk about a little bit later, that John is doing on Sunday, has to do with this, changing sort of the energetic field around these places of distress. So bringing the heart center and the good intention, aggregating it, bringing people together, because I think that a lot is changing. There is other acts of ceremonial activism going on in the Tohono O'odham Nation around the building of the wall, and it's kind of catching on as a catchphrase. People really want to see things change, and they're doing so through these great acts of love. and kindness. And that's why I really love what you're doing. I'm curious too how your community has embraced this. Have you gotten any pushback from this? Have you gotten, obviously you've gotten a lot of support from people you know with supplies and whatnot, but what's your experience been since this has taken off?
To tell the truth, positive. It's been every door has been opened for me. People, I've had people from as far as Florida because one of my ladies who's helping me once, sisters in Florida, she was making beautiful faces and bringing them to us, and we were putting them together. I have churches, different church groups have different sewing clubs, and they
Right.
heard of me and they said, "Hey, we want to help you." There's one called Sisters and Stitches, and they do stuff for Africa and stuff for different charities. And they said, "We want to help you," and they helped me for a long time making lots of beautiful dolls. A church in Richardson, a church in Keller, all these people from nowhere that just heard of me said yes, we definitely want to help with donations or with because I pay for the little tags,
Right.
transportation and all that. It gets expensive, but most of the fabric is donated by each lady. I pay for the stuffing. So I don't want anybody stuffing them because, again, I want it to be extremely safe. There could be an accident and somebody accidentally leaves a needle. You know, those things
Right.
happen. So I just want it to be as safe for the children who are holding and hugging and doing everything they can and not have something hurt them, right?
Right.
So everything is really carefully done and every piece extremely well put in there so nobody could choke on anything. So I've had nothing but positive directly to me. It's been beautiful. It's been, like I said, even a nearby in my city there's a magazine and I was featured in the cover. uh that was so touching to me. That was so moving. I've been in newspapers locally, always received very well. I haven't had anybody say, "What a horrible thing you're doing. Wow, you are a horrible human being." Not one, at least not in my face. So this is like connecting bridges is what I want, connecting hearts, because a lot of these people that started helping me originally, they were frustrated like I was, but they're not activists and they don't like to go even protest, but they know that they want to do something with their hands and they have a talent. What I like to do is, you have a talent, I'm going to use you. Don't tell me what you're good at because you will be used for something. And they do. Oh, you know how to do that? Oh, you know, okay. Somebody always tells me they know how to sew. Oh, you could sew. And then I tell them about my project and they end up helping me. So I'm connecting the awareness and the developing awareness of what's happening. It was a secondary factor in this. The thing that really happened was developing connections and hearts and bridges where
Mhm.
people didn't know what to do, and this makes them feel like they're doing something positive. They're moving forward to something good. They're giving love. They're showing up in life. Show up first, right? And then give it all you got and then show your heart. So yes, your answer is I've been very, very happy that it's been a positive, and it really was so, like I told you, organic. The name came up. I was thinking, okay, do I give him a name? Elisa's dolls? No, that's too me. I don't want it. And I said, it's about peace. I just want peace. I just want comfort. I just want calm with these. Oh, calm. What calm? Okay, what can I do with calm? Out of nowhere, in my head, just creating love and memory. I get it. Yes, let's do this. So the next meeting, I said, hey, creating love and memory calm dolls. Everybody said, yes, that's beautiful. Let's do it. It was just that, like something took me. If I really had to market them and I had to be like a job, I would have never come up with a name. Never.
Isn't
But
that beautiful?
yeah, it's I don't know what it is. I don't know
I
what.
I find that when you make yourself available truly, that you get utilized. You get utilized, and it's often surprising how you're utilized and source asks of you, and the positions that we are put in by the greater power, when you're really available.
Yes.
And I'm connecting so much, Elisa, to this, the idea of the heart center. I have, heard about people talk about the heart field and heart math, and I don't know much about that, but that these kinetic forces actually have physical, properties that change things, that vibrationally things actually change when the heart is engaged, when love is engaged. It multiplies. It is a force. And I think that acts like these, and initiatives like these are growing, and that there's a lot to be said for the people working, the light bearers, people who, like yourself, who are working to bring light into the world in such a dark time.
Thank you.
And it's again, it really moves me. I'm just moved as an artist. And I also love that you're an artist. Like, didn't you say you wanted to study art before you went into political science? And you're here right at the Dallas Museum of Art, and
Yes.
look, you're making art in the most useful, practical, applicable way. You're creating art and giving it to people, non-conceptual, just
Right.
tactile.
And when I used to go, because of COVID, I stopped in March, and it's breaking my heart. It's like putting me in a box. I'm like, I gotta go there. But when I went, I took a lot. I told, again, I put it out on Facebook, I'm going to actually teach art at the border. So if you have any supplies, and in the mail, so many people generous brought everything. Friends from nearby gave me their older sketchbooks and supplies, like my friend Dan, who's an artist. So many people just donated and sent me stuff, and I started taking them, and I'm not doing therapy for children. I don't mistake it for, I'm not a therapist. I do have a master's in human behavior, but it's not therapy. And what I wanted them is to express, because when you're doing art, you're expressing your soul, you're giving the rawness of you. And for a child that's not trained to express how they feel, but keep it bottled in, this is a beautiful vehicle where you could say, I'm hurting, I'm not doing well. And they put it into a piece of paper, something tangible, that motion, they can feel, they can see it. And so that's what I was doing too. And I was reading to them and playing games. And if I'm not doing anything, we stop serving meals, or I'm not teaching something, I sit on the ground where there's a mud pile. I just try to clean the area. I play Uno with them. And they get to learn numbers, they get to know colors, they get to know how to play nice with each other in English, right? And I'm teaching them as we are having fun. That's the way a kid learns, by having fun, by actually getting his hands or her hands in there. And we're on the floor, and I could be gone mentally for an hour until somebody says, we need to go. And I'm still playing Uno with the kids and having a great time. Or I take my cat, my books, cat with, what was it? I forgot the title now. But kids love to be read, and especially these kids. They just love that. They tap you and they go, can you read to me? I sit on the floor and I get a big crowd and I started reading, and then I translate, what it is, what they're listening to. They might get a word or two here and there, but that's what I do. There's a lot of groups right now that are teaching. Team Brownsville has one that I was helping them teach English. There's another schoolhouse. I mean, they're the number of people giving their love is great there. They're not alone. There's nonprofit groups, or angry tias and abuelas, or something like that. And there's a pastor that I've helped serve meals, and I just collected money so he can get tarps, because they sleep on the floor. The only thing that's preventing them from the elements, it's a plastic tarp. So I collected money so they could have a place to sleep in. And I gave it to him. So there's beautiful people. Believe me, there's so many beautiful hearts that I've met through this very difficult 4 years, but it opened me up to beautiful people, beautiful people inside. Their soul and their heart is so great. And I'm so, so, so blessed and moved and touched to them to call.
Wow. It's beautiful. It's really beautiful. And your energy is so beautiful. I'm really moved by what you're doing. I know we're all kind of at a stalemate right now with the virus, and everything feels really uncertain. But in your heart of hearts, what is your vision for these dolls and for the new administration, I guess?
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping that if I have the courage, and I always have to, if I do it right away. I don't think about it. I just, okay, this is what I'm doing. I want to make it a nonprofit. So when we are not helping children at the border, we're still helping immigrants. We're still helping children that are somehow hurting, or children in hospitals, or something to do with a child that needs some comfort. But right now, we just want to limit it to immigration. They go in to get to a nonprofit. When they start coming in, I mean, it would be great if I can go in and give everybody a doll, something to touch them and say, you're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. It's going to be all right. When you're my age, when you're old, and then you look back, hopefully you will remember somebody loved you. That
Yeah.
you don't know, and they will never know you, but you were loved.
Wow. So beautiful. We're putting links to the website in the just in the notes of this, and we'll make sure that is there any, if people wanted to go to donate or read more or get involved, is it just that one website, or there are other places that we should send people to?
No, I think Calm Dolls at Facebook, that one, that would be great for now. Like I said, if I pursue, it takes a year to become a nonprofit. If I pursue that, I really have to get my team together and have people support me.
Yeah.
So right now I have a lot of support, especially like I said, Justice for Our Neighbors, where I am a board member, have supported me so much. They've allowed me to use their rooms to sort out the donations.
Great.
They to use their volunteers sometimes to help me sort not only my friends but volunteers of Just for Our Neighbors. Uh, they used to, because we're in transition and we're moving our office. The mail might be a little complicated right now, but they were also, I was also receiving my mail with them. So it's a beautiful nonprofit. It's free immigration, legal advice and work, and for DACA, for people who want to become U.S. citizens. And
They're Texas based.
we're 18, actually. Just for Our Neighbors have 18 offices nationwide. There's one in Arizona.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'll make sure we have that link up. I'm going to ask Elisa now.
Alba is the executive director there. Yes, and we're just one of many. I think in Texas there's one in Austin, Houston. There's a few more than just Dallas Fort Worth.
Oh, that's really great. That's wonderful. And I know that there are a lot of people doing really, really good work. And again, one of my hopes too with this and interviewing different people is just to continue to make connections.
Yes.
Work connections between groups and people, because again, energetically, the more we move together as one, the more we can start shifting the basic policies that we have seen at the border over the past 4 years, which is, again, it's not about open borders, it's about humane borders. It's about restoring humanity at the border. And I've been focusing on the US-Mexico border, but there are refugees all over the world, millions and millions and millions of refugees.
Yes, I know.
Who are homeless,
Yes.
who are, risking their lives just to find a place to be, to escape persecution. And it's so important that we adopt a policy of love across the board in our own hearts, and that we insist that those policies be reflected in our government. Because if not, we're in a lot of trouble. We're in a lot of trouble.
Yes.
But love, and I, like you, believe that love is the strongest policy, and that it's growing. And acts like these are just, again, so beautiful. And another thing that you iterate that I really love, I want to make a point of, is this is a small, it's a huge act done in a small way. It's not like you're solving the problem of displacement, but what you're doing is creating something from your heart, from your skill set, and making something that is so applicable and so doable. So I just want to acknowledge you for coming up with something so creative and so beautiful. So thank you. Thank you for your work. I love it. I just love it.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. Then I wanted to let anybody who's watching here now know about the event on Sunday that Jaunt, who did the song, wrote the beautiful songs for my movie Dust One, is doing a Gentle Warrior song ceremony on Sunday afternoon. It's 2 to 4 Pacific time. And it's basically not unlike a concert. He's creating a musical event for specifically for the immigration advocacy community in Southern Arizona, but beyond, to elevate our hearts and our minds, and to bring us together in a new space of possibility. And it's free, and it really is just about receiving and witnessing. Again, I love that you use that word. That's such an important word right now. Receiving and witnessing, and about love. And I've seen some snippets of his past ceremonies, and they're beautiful. They're like soul baths. And he is just this magnetic, gorgeous soul who makes the most beautiful music. So I'm hoping that a lot of people will come and show up for that.
I'm registered already, so thank you so much for inviting me. I love that. So I'm going to invite a lot of people. So thank you so much. I am so thankful for you for doing this and connecting the bridges and connecting the hearts. Like I said, if you don't touch hearts, you're not going to change minds, and that's what we need to do to make change in this country.
Absolutely, we have to keep going. So thank you so much. And I'm sure this is the first of many conversations, Elisa. I really appreciate you making the time.
Thank you.
All right. See you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.